Welcome to Space Mysteries, your trusted source for breaking headlines, global insights, and sharp analysis from around the world. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Tonight, we begin with a story that redefines the very meaning of neighbor. Sources inside the White House and Ottawa have leaked details of a phone call that sent shockwaves through both governments. On the line, US President Donald Trump demanding oil, and Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau delivering a firm, unprecedented refusal. The subject? Oil. America's urgent need for it, and Canada's sudden, unyielding refusal to comply. This wasn't a negotiation, it was a confrontation, ending a century of friendly handshakes with a slammed door. Trump expected Canada to fall in line, as always, but Trudeau's response was a declaration. Canada's resources are no longer on demand for its southern neighbor. The days of being a backup supplier are over. Canada now puts its own interests and new global commitments first. This was no emotional outburst, but a carefully prepared message, a strategic pivot years in the making. The silence after Trudeau's refusal was, according to insiders, deafening. The implications were clear. This wasn't just about oil, but about leverage, alliances, and the power dynamics of North America. The US, long the senior partner, was just told the rules have changed. Canada, often the quiet neighbor, had just found its voice and used it to say no. The fallout from this single phone call is just beginning. The stage is set for a new era in North American relations. What's behind America's desperate demand? A perfect storm of policy missteps and global turmoil. Trump's America First energy policy hit a wall. US shale production is slowing, and growth has plateaued. Instability in the Middle East has disrupted shipping lanes, making oil imports riskier and more expensive. Sanctions on Venezuela and Iran have backfired, removing millions of barrels from the global market just as the US needs them most. America's refineries still rely on imported crude, much of it from regions now in chaos. The result? A severe energy squeeze, rising gas prices, and mounting political pressure at home. The White House needed a quick win, a fast infusion of oil to calm markets and reassure voters. They looked north, expecting a lifeline, and instead found a locked gate. The US is now facing the consequences of its own policies. The search for solutions has never been more urgent. Canada's refusal wasn't sudden, it was years in the making. Canadian leaders have long felt their resources were taken for granted, especially after the Keystone XL pipeline saga and repeated US trade disputes. Tariffs on Canadian goods and unpredictable US policies convinced Ottawa it was time to diversify. The mantra became market access, investing in infrastructure to reach new customers beyond the US. The Trans Mountain Pipeline expansion to Vancouver is the crown jewel, opening Asian markets for Canadian oil. When Trump called, he wasn't talking to the Canada of old, but to a nation with new priorities and new partners. Trudeau's no was backed by years of strategic planning and billions in investment. Canada now has other customers waiting, Europe and Asia, eager for reliable, democratic energy. The refusal was a business decision, not a personal slight. Canada's energy commitments are now aligned with its long-term interests and new global alliances. The era of one customer dependency is over. Canada has redefined its role in the global energy market. The US must now adapt to this new reality. With the US door closed, Canada has thrown open new ones to the east and west. For decades, Canada's oil flowed almost exclusively south, creating a dangerous dependency. Now, a two-pronged strategy targets long-term deals with Asia and Europe. The Trans Mountain Pipeline expansion triples capacity to Vancouver, making Canadian crude accessible to Asian markets for the first time. Simultaneously, Atlantic ports are being upgraded to export energy to Europe, including new LNG facilities. Canada is positioning itself as a global energy player, a stable, democratic supplier with direct routes to the world's largest economies. These new deals go beyond oil. including investment, technology, and clean energy cooperation. Canada is leveraging its resources to build broader, more balanced alliances. It's a bold national project. Canada is no longer just America's neighbor, but a global energy power. The transformation is rapid, strategic, and irreversible. The world is watching as Canada steps onto the global stage. The energy map is being redrawn. Asia is the first major beneficiary of Canada's new direction. Countries like Japan, South Korea, and India are eager for stable, democratic energy sources. A landmark 20-year supply agreement now sends millions of barrels monthly from Vancouver to Asia. For nations like South Korea, this is a cornerstone of energy security, reducing reliance on volatile regions. The partnership includes Asian investment in Canada's energy sector, focusing on cleaner, more efficient production. This synergy creates jobs in Canada and energy security in Asia. New tankers are being built, ports are bustling, and Alberta's oil fields are booming with renewed investment. This handshake across the Pacific is reshaping global energy flows in real time. It's a win-win that was unimaginable just a decade ago. The Pacific Partnership is just the beginning. Europe's deal with Canada is even more strategic. The EU, desperate to reduce dependence on Russian energy, now hails Canadian oil and LNG as a game changer. The Canada-EU Comprehensive Energy Partnership is about security, economics, and shared values. European leaders see Canadian energy as key to building a resilient, independent grid. The deal includes strict environmental standards and joint investment in clean energy technology. Europe isn't just buying oil, it's investing in Canada's green future. New LNG terminals are being fast-tracked, with European companies as major investors. For Europe, it's a secure supply. For Canada, a stable, high-value market. This transatlantic bridge locks in a deep, forward-looking alliance. The partnership is already reshaping Europe's energy landscape. Canada's pivot is reshaping the global energy landscape. Canada emerges as a major supplier, independent of OPEC and US influence. For the US, the loss of guaranteed Canadian oil means higher prices and less leverage. American refineries must now look further afield, often to less stable regions. For Asia, Canadian oil brings stability and bargaining power, reducing vulnerability to Middle East turmoil. In Europe, Canadian energy offers relief from Russian dependence and strengthens the Transatlantic alliance. The presence of Canadian oil increases competition, potentially moderating prices worldwide. The era of North American energy self-sufficiency is over. The world's energy map now has a powerful new player in the north. Alliances are shifting, and the balance of power is changing. The global energy game will never be the same. In this new world order, Canada is the clear winner. By diversifying its markets, it's unlocked economic potential, attracted investment, and gained global influence. Asia and Europe also win, securing reliable energy from a stable democracy. These partnerships bring not just energy, but technology and environmental collaboration. The US is the biggest loser, losing privileged access, facing higher costs, and seeing its influence wane. The America First strategy has left America last in line for Canadian resources. Traditional producers like Russia and OPEC now face a powerful new competitor. Increased competition could lower prices and reduce their geopolitical leverage. The old guard is losing ground to new diversified players. The global oil order has been upended. What does this mean for you? In Canada, it's a new era of prosperity and global relevance, with more jobs and economic growth. In Europe and Asia, it means energy security and stability, less dependence on unpredictable regimes. For Americans, it's a sobering reality: higher, more volatile prices, and the end of easy energy from the north. This is the real-world impact of strained alliances and shifting global power. The story is about more than pipelines. It's about the importance of partnerships in a connected world. Canada has shown that even a middle power can chart its own course. The US is learning the cost of taking allies for granted, The world has changed, and the old assumptions no longer apply. The flow of oil is tracing new paths across the globe. The future of energy and global power has a new map.